After the assembly, I didn't want to go back to class, so I hobbled down to the nurse to have her check on my ankle. From all the standing, it started to throb, and I knew nothing big was wrong with it, but the throbbing gave me reason to see the nurse, who was always happy to see me. I was wearing a regular shoe on one foot, and I had the rabbit slipper from Miss Howard's on the other one that was twisted. The nurse looked at my ankle, then squeezed it, and then flipped it back and forth. "This is nothing," she said, as she nicked my chin with her fist. Swallowing the key was worse. "I could never swallow my ankle," I said as a joke. "Lord, I hope not," she said and laughed. "I don't think nature would take its course." And then she took an ace bandage out of the metal cabinet and wrapped the ankle up tight for me, and it felt better. "You can keep the bandage," she said, "as long as you use it." "Okay," I said. "I was thinking of using it to wrap myself up like a mummy for Halloween. Do you have any more?" "I have some old ones," she said, "but first, let's get your ankle healed before we mummify you, okay?" "Okay," I agreed. I love being agreeable. I loved the nurse, and I thought she did a lot of special things. And I told her in a whisper, and I snuck into the gifted, talented speech. "And Miss Cole told us to do one really good thing today," I said to her. "I think that's an excellent idea," said Miss Holyfield and whispered back. "So what do you have in mind?" "I'm still thinking about it," I said, "but it's coming." "Well, keep working at it," she said. "I am," I replied, and I stood up. As long as I walked in straight lines and didn't twist my foot right or left, then it didn't hurt so much. "See you later," she said. After lunch, I returned to the classroom instead of going out to recess. I wanted to work on my new idea to change the world, even though I could feel my meds wearing down like they do every time I eat something. Miss Maxie was back and sitting at her desk filling out some papers. "Hi," I said. "Did you have a nice morning?" "Yes, I did," she replied, then asked, "How's your ankle?" "Better." "Did you notice something extra in your desk drawer?" I asked. "I did," she said, and smiled at me. I lifted my chin, and I smiled right back at her. "It seems some secret admirer of mine left me a slice of cinnamon apple in my drawer. Can you guess who that nice kid might be?" "I bet it's the kid who's going to have the best behavior all afternoon," she said. "I bet it is, too," I replied. "You know, we still have to have that talk," she said, still smiling. "You really lost it yesterday." "Yeah, but I've changed already. I snuck out and I went to the gifted and talented assembly, and now I'm ready to do something great for the whole world." "Sneaking out doesn't lead me to believe that you've changed at all," she replied. "Yeah, but I only broke a little rule," I replied. "And now I can do something great for the world." "Really? What do you have in mind?" "I'm going to make 1,000,000 bumper stickers for cars that said, 'Hate is not a family value.' My mom saw one at work, and she wished she had 1,000,000 of them to put on every car in the world." "That is very thoughtful," she said. "But I don't think you should be sticking things on people's cars." "Oh, I won't," I said. "Mom will. I better get going. I only have a few minutes before everyone comes back from recess." "Well, go to the back of the room and use the art supplies," she said. "If you stay on task, I'm sure you can get 1,000,000 done on time." So I went back to the back of the room and got a thick piece of poster board. I took my time and I drew wide lines across it. And between each line, I printed out the bumper stickers saying in block letters. I took a Day-Glo marker and outlined the word hate to grab everyone's attention. When I finished, I held up the big poster over my head. "Miss Maxie, look!" I shouted. She lifted her head from her work and gave me a thumbs up. Then she gave me a little secret wink and a smile. "Even though I'm difficult, I'm very special and smart. Everyone says so." "Very good printing," she said. "Nicely done, Joey." Nicely done, Joey. It echoed in my mind over and over. I love how that sounded. I didn't want to have any other words come to my head again. Ever. Just those 3 words. Nicely done, Joey. But suddenly I remember I had to finish up fast. I got the safety scissors and I began to cut the poster board into bumper-sized sticker strips. But the poster board was too thick and the scissors kept twisting over their side, and the harder I squeezed, the more I hurt my fingers. Then the bell rang and kids started to pile in from the playground. I wanted to finish cutting my bumper sticker, so when Miss Moxie got up from her desk to go stand in the hall and make sure nobody was running, I snuck over to her desk and I opened the top drawer and I grabbed her secret extra sharp teacher scissors. I was racing back to the bumper stickers with my scissors in my hand when it happened. I tripped over the stupid ear of the rabbit slipper, and I sort of dove through the air with open scissors stretched all the way out in front of me like some evil big bird's beak when Maria Dombeski walked sideways from my path like a safety patrol guard and said, "Slow down." And I didn't, and my hand collided with the side of her face, and I went tumbling to the aisle. I thought I was the one who was screaming because it was so loud. I figured it had to be coming out of my mouth, but it wasn't me. I jumped up and I didn't know what had happened at first when, oh my God, I should have seen the blood. It was like a pipe had burst. Blood just poured on the floor from the cut at the end of her nose, and she stood there shaking with her eyes open, and she stuck her finger in like she stuck her finger in an electric socket. I bent over and I picked up the tip of her nose, which now looked like a tiny end piece of a sliced banana. Then I stood up and I pressed it back in place, but the blood sprayed out in a circle like a shower nozzle. Oh, it was awful. Her mouth was wide and open, and no more sounds came out. I looked into her eyes, and there was so much fear trapped in them. I went instantly out of my mind. Worse than Maria, even worse than when Miss Maxie when the kids ran to tell her and she came flying around the room. I was shrieking, I'm sorry. And I tried to pad out the little piece back in place, but it wouldn't stick and the blood wouldn't stop and the cut would vanish. And I would run all the way to my poster, which was going to change the world for the better. Miss Maxie yanked me from Maria, and I went spinning around like a top, screeching and hopping from desk to desk, yelling, "Sorry, sorry!" And I tried to wrestle the scissors from Miss Maxie, who had taken them from me because I wanted to cut my whole nose off just to show how sorry I was and give it to Maria. But Miss Maxie wouldn't let me have the scissors, and she kept shouting, "Time out! Time out! Go to your corner." But I was so nuts I couldn't tell the difference between a corner and a circle or a square. And before long, Nurse Holyfield arrived with a mile of gauze and white tape and began to bandage the nose with ice. And I was like on fire, skipping around. And then I heard the ambulance. And then the principal came and threw a jacket over Maria's shoulder. And they raced her out of the room. Believe me, it was bad. And everybody was staring at me like I was a maniac killer. I didn't know what else to do. I sat at my desk and ripped the ears off the rabbit slipper and stuffed them in my pockets and waited for something horrible to happen, and it did. Miss Maxie was trying to clean up the mess and calm the class down when Miss Jarbaz returned with blood on her jacket and pointed at me. "Joey," she said from the front of the room, "bring your things and come with me." I pulled the front of my t-shirt way out and piled everything in the inside of my desk on it and carried it. "I'll be back," I said over my shoulder to everyone because everyone was still staring at me and looking scared. "I will." I was starting to cry and I walked away and I couldn't see with the tears in my eyes. My stupid ankle hurt and I hit the edge of the door and my shoulder and it gave me a Charlie horse. I let go of one side of my t-shirt and my stuff fell all over the floor. I turned to look at Miss Maxie and she's just biting her bottom lip, and I thought I could tell she really wanted me to stay. She knew I didn't mean to hurt anyone. Ours met. I said, "I'm a good kid. I just got dud meds." She winced, then turned her eyes toward the class and said, "Now everyone, settle down. Take a deep breath, let it out slowly, and let's prepare to do some math drills." "Math drills are my strength!" I shouted. By then, Miss Jarbaz had picked up all my stuff and grabbed my hand like it was a piece of my stuff and led me down the hall toward the office. Chapter 8. Suspended. "It's one thing for him to hurt himself," said Miss Jarbaz. Miss Jarbaz said to my mother, pushing a flowered box of Kleenex toward her. My mom plucked out a few. She had changed the color of her fingernails so they were so bright red. Her fingers looked like mine when they were covered with the wet blood while I was trying to fix Maria's nose. We were sitting in the principal's office. I'd been there since Miss Jarbaz pulled me out of class. My mom had been called in from the beauty parlor and was still wearing the white smock with her name Fran embroidered on the front. She borrowed a car and got here so fast. Maria had just left in the ambulance, and Mom was still breathing heavily, so she wiped away the lines of sweat around her neck. "I'm sure it was an accident," my mother replied, and set a wad of damp Kleenex on the edge of the desk. "Kids will be kids. Things like this happen." Miss Jarbaz pulled a Kleenex out of the box and used it to pick up Mom's like she was picking up something filthy. And then she tossed it in the trash can. "There are special circumstances in this case," Miss Jarbaz insisted, and tapped the top of my file. "Joey has a history of being harmful to himself and to others." "I know his history," Mom said. "I'm his mother. Nobody knows him better than me, and even though there have been some problems in the past, they are all accidental. Joey is not a mean child." She was sweating down the side of her face as if she was in trouble for what had happened to Maria. I don't disagree with you that it was an accident, said Miss Jarbez replied. What alarms me is the number of accidents that Joey is responsible for. She opened my file. Let me cite what all happened this school year alone. Just skip it, my mother said, sounding a little angry, like when people at work ticked her off. Well, keep in mind we have informed you of his behavior in the past. I started to ask Mom if she had any meds on me and patted my leg. Let's just listen for now, she whispered. And the last time I warned you, Miss Jarbez continued, that if we didn't have the resources to help Joey here, then we'd have to consider intensive counseling at the special ed center downtown, where he would receive the attention he needs. I'm aware of all of this, Mom said, but it was news to me. What special ed center? I said suddenly. What, honey? Mom interrupted. Just listen for a minute while I do the talking. Miss Jarbez had already put the Kleenex away, and Mom reached for her own purse. When she unsnapped it, I could smell the makeup and the lipstick and the perfume, especially the perfume. And I wanted to leap into her lap and bury my head against her neck, where she always put a dab of something extra nice. And when I smelled it, I just imagined following it to the safe, soft, warm Mom place that would protect me from everything bad, and I could protect her. Joey, Mom said. Joey? She gave me a quick little pinch on my thigh, and I snapped out of it. Yeah? I said real sleepy, like I woke up and wanted to go back to sleep. What? Miss Jarbez wants you to tell your side of the story. What story? I asked, kind of desperate, because I had suddenly realized they'd been talking for a while and had no idea what they were saying. Tell her, Mom said, gently, this time because she knew I'd drifted away, about the scissors. Yes, tell me, Joey, Miss Jarbez said with her face all nice and soft, like there was nothing in the world she wanted to hear about but me and the scissors. So I told her I was making bumper stickers for me and my mom to change the world, and my safety scissors were too small for the paper. So I got Miss Maxie's out of the teacher drawer, and I was running when Maria jumped in front of me. Just when I tripped over my slipped ear, I fell forward, and after I got up, everyone said I cut her nose off. I cut off her nose tip. When I finished, Mom was looking to her lap, and Miss Jarbez was writing furiously on the pad. Then she stopped writing, and she looked up. Keep him at home tomorrow. The district special ed bus will pick him up the day after. We need a day for the paperwork to go through. Okay, my mom said. But this is temporary, right? Because he's injured another student, he has to be suspended for 6 weeks and receive mandatory counseling. There is a school policy, but given Joey's record, he was bound to end up at the center anyway. So maybe this is a blessing in disguise. What happens now is all up to him. We left the office and nothing more was said. On the way out to the car, I kept staring at the ground and seeing if I could spot Maria's blood drops, or maybe she lost the tip of her nose, and I thought if I could find it, she would be able to forgive me, and I wouldn't be in so much trouble. For 1 second, I thought I saw it, and I reached down and I snatched up a little flesh-colored round thing, but it was just a used round Band-Aid. My mother slapped it out of my hand, and that was the first time I realized she was mad at me, too. And suddenly, it was as if my heart was as uncontrollable as my legs. All this time, I thought she was on my side, because I was on her side, but maybe she had given up on me, too. So I didn't say anything more because I was scared, and she was going to be against me like everyone else. We drove away in silence. Not until we entered Burger King's drive-thru did Mom speak again. She ordered for both of us without asking me what I wanted, and when I got to the food from the side window, Mom just pulled around the corner and parked on the street under a shade tree. I want to talk to you, she said as she handed me the food. I've done my best. Do you understand that? Yeah, I replied. I know it's on me. I'm the one that's messed up, not you. I started eating my French fries, first on the bottom end, then the top. I put the middle to the side. The middle ones didn't crunch when I bit into them, so I saved them for last like vegetables. You're not stupid, and you're not messed up, Mom said. Don't think that. Everyone else does, I said, not looking at her. Or they call me retard. So really messed up is nicer than retard, or brain damage, or Zippy the Pinhead. She just held a water napkin to her eyes and her shoulders hunched forward, and I knew she was crying because I'd seen her trying to hide it from me 1,000,000 times before. I pulled it together for you, she finally said and wiped her nose. When you were a baby, I screwed up and I left you behind, but I loved you so much I pulled it together and I came back for you. Now you have to pull it together for me. It's your turn. You owe me that much. You owe yourself that much, because if you don't pull it together now, I don't know what will happen next, but it's bound to be worse, way worse than anything that's ever happened to you. I knew she was right. I'll have to go to the scary special ed school, I finally said, already crying by the time my face sunk into her shoulder. Just for a little while, she said, and rubbed my neck. Soon they'll see what a good guy you are and send you back.